It's a game that seems very simple at the first glance. You get placed in a very dark hallway. Being unable to see what's hidden in the distance, you'll have to keep traversing forward. Eventually, some weird distorted music will start playing. But really, nothing a usual horror game can't mimic. So, a walking simulator with some edgy music in the background. That's it? Well, not really. There's a lot more to it than initially meets the eye. In fact, most of it takes place behind the scenes. Stuff that expands beyond the game itself. Let's dive into this rabbit hole. The game is called Sad Satan, and the story behind it begins back in 2015. It's said that its origins are traced on the hidden side of the internet, the deep web. Deep web at the time was a trend, and the searches about it were just about to hit an all-time high. The idea that there's a side of the internet you've never accessed before was new to the majority of the people at the time. So the whole subject started getting a lot of attention. Something the creator of Sad Satan was well aware of. People's interest in deep web only kept on rising, quickly making it a very saturated field. It became a place taken over by YouTubers with the largest following. But through all the noise, there was a channel that stood out amongst the others. Obscure Horror Corner. It's a channel that was made to specifically showcase horror and creepy games. Looking at their channel, they seem to have a catalog of plenty of other videos, dating as far back as 2014, but none of which got nearly as much attention as Sad Satan. It had a pretty rapid growth, and only 2 months down the line, and it managed to get the attention of PewDiePie himself, amongst many others, who played it and showcased everything the game had to offer, which, judging by the timestamp, wasn't a whole lot. Except, they missed a pretty major detail. The game they were playing was pretty similar, but in none of them was it the real game, or at least the one showcased in Obscure Horror Corner, which was a game so long it had to be split into 5 different parts, with each one of them being about 10 minutes in runtime. There's a lot to unpack through all these episodes, but not gonna lie, most of it leads to absolutely nowhere. Throughout the game, there are quite a few images that flash in and out. Images such as this one. The man in the picture was a DJ known as Jimmy Savile, who was later found to be a routinely children. This picture shows a lot about him, because it shows him in an event ironically held towards the prevention of cruelty to children, when in fact, he really couldn't care less. A picture of a man whose eyes and mouth were scribbled out was also shown, which was later found to be Tsutomu Miyazaki, the Japanese serial killer who abducted and killed 4 girls. Rolf Harris, an Australian musician arrested and charged with 9 counts of indecent assault, 2 of which involved 2 girls aged between 14 and 16, and 4 counts alleging the production of child images. You get where this is going. You can probably connect the dots yourself here. Whether or not it is promoting or denouncing it is up for debate, but it's pretty clear that the game centers around and abuse. Coded words. They're shown multiple times throughout, with each image showing up to 5 words at most. When decoded, they translate to the following sentences. I can track you. Good luck. Bird. Kill, kill, and kill again. You're on my list. 5 victim. Hail 666. And finally, sad people died. To me, this just seems like a try-hard attempt at trying to make the game look spookier, with words and grammar that seem to be written by a 12-year-old. As far as I'm aware, this doesn't really extend outside the game itself, and there doesn't seem to be a deeper meaning to it either, so that more or less leads to a dead end. This is an image drawn by Eliphas Levi, called the Sabbatic Goat, which in-game was altered and added numbers 666 on top, which as we know is related to Satanism. Druids at Stonehenge. An image that when put on the reverse image search gives you little to no results. However, it appears that they only gather at the Stonehenge to celebrate a certain period of the year. And as far as I'm aware, that's about it. There's no hidden meaning or anything like that. Closing in on the first episode, we can hear this sound, which appears to be saying, "For sad Satan." This sound was found to be a very short snippet of the song Stairway to Heaven, which was reversed and put on a loop. Here's the full version of it. Personally, I'm a bit skeptical on this one. It's very likely it's just a coincidence someone caught on and decided to make a video out of it. A coincidence that has already been exposed a plethora of other times in the music industry. I'll leave it at that. Near the end of the second episode, a girl with a distorted face appears. But if you get too close to her, she will start screaming. The screams were first thought to be taken from a real scenario, but were later proven to be stock sound effects, found within the game engine itself. The same girl shows near the end of the game as well, but this time, instead of standing still, it chases the player. After blacking out, the player then finds themselves in a room that had no exit, nowhere they could escape to. The character is now forever trapped in that room, which marks the end of the game and the series along with it. It's quite possible that you're playing as the Predator himself, having to suffer through for the acts you've committed. That's probably where the name Sad Satan came from as well. A game so disturbing, it made even Satan himself sad. But really, it's just a theory. Speculation with no real backbone to support it. Now, we more or less know what this game is about. But where did the game come from? This is an interview Obscure Horror Corner did with Kotaku, now presented as Jamie, going more in depth into the game and its origins. I don't use the deep web too often, but a month or two ago, a subscriber sent me a link and said that they found something creepy, and knew I would be interested. Which of course I was. He downloaded the game, installed it, and went on to play it. At first, there was nothing suspicious. But then a notepad full of gibberish text and number 666 kept appearing on his desktop, which led to him, in turn, uninstalling the game. That's the story he wants us to believe at least. But interestingly, he could provide no screenshots to support his claims. On the other side, he did provide a link, supposed to redirect you to the original website of the game. Obviously, the website was dead by now, which at the time seemed reasonable and expected to happen. However, that later turned out to be one of the most revealing factors about the game. The link he provided is an onion link, which can only be accessed through the Tor browser, and it's mainly used to enter the deep web. Tor is considerably slower than a normal browser, so downloading such a game would take way longer than usual. A thing that puts in question the motives of a subscriber. Why would he wait so long to download a game made by an anonymous user, who could have very easily had malicious intentions, which he supposedly did have? An onion link can include all base32 characters, meaning that only numbers from 2 to 7 and letters from A to Z are included. Now here's the link that's written on the description of his videos. Notice anything off? Let me help you. It's pretty clear that the link Jamie provided was fake, and it was never supposed to work to begin with. Being aware of that, he goes on to get rid of the description altogether. Kotaku even updates the article itself, where surprisingly, Jamie was contacted for the second time. Apparently, the game included and CP, so he didn't feel quite comfortable subjecting his audience to such a game, therefore giving out the wrong link. Which would have been understandable if he was to give out the real link afterwards, which he never did. Along the way, a Reddit account that seemed to be closely related to his channel was also discovered, but most of the posts were of no help, with one small exception. This is a post that Jamie put on r/creepygaming, mainly posted to gather some more attention to his new video. Not too far down the comments, and we can find this. I would have kept going, but I stopped at 1 minute. Don't really trust pictures from the deep web. There's no corpses or CP, if that's what you mean. Exactly what I mean. I thought I'd be seeing after seeing Kennedy. There's been nothing like that in the game. Well, so far anyway. These replies were made the day the Kotaku article was released, and I believe you can see the contradiction yourself here. Based on what I have seen so far, I'm 90% certain Jamie was behind the game itself. He created a fake link in hopes of upping his credibility, which ended up doing the sole opposite. It exposed him for what he really was. Let's leave this here for now and explore other leads. Coming from the subscriber themselves, the forum the game was found in resembled an all-purpose site, with movies and music occasionally being posted, but certainly not any games. The user never specified whether it was his own content or someone else's, but I presume it was the user's game. He signed off his post with ZK. Exactly 18 minutes before the Kotaku article was updated, a guy claiming to have the original version of the game showed up, but this time it's on the export of 4chan. As expected, their identity is anonymous, and the post reads as follows. What you've seen on YouTube isn't right. Don't believe that coward, obscure horror corner. He did not show you what's truly in this game. ZK. And right above, he put a link that allows you to get the game for yourself. Normally, people didn't believe him, but others, unfortunately, let curiosity get the best of them, so they downloaded it. I mean, what's the worst that could happen, right? The game looked very similar to the one Jamie covered. However, this version included a lot of graphic and rather gruesome pictures. Upon closing the game, their computers started running slowly, and some even crashed right after. It became clear that this version of the game included some sort of malware. Soon after, the link itself stopped working. Here's when things get complicated. Hiding in plain sight, right under your noses. This was a comment made by a user named ScareBearZK, who claims to be the original creator of the game. The account has been inactive for over 5 years now, only has 6 comments posted, and due to the post being archived, karma is stuck in the negative spectrum. The account was made on July 3rd, 2015, which was only 2 days after the name ZK was first mentioned anywhere, and it was active for about a single month before disappearing from the internet. The thing is, anyone could create an account on Reddit and claim to be someone they're not. And in this case, impersonating someone who's already anonymous would not serve much of a challenge. However, what's interesting about this user is his connection with this channel, which is also called ScareBear, and the link redirects you to a video called Sad Sad Satan. Give it a watch. The video was uploaded in May of 2013, so it's at least 2 years older than the game itself. Besides the title being related to the game, there are also multiple comments of him mentioning some sort of game, and Terror Engine along with it, which as it turns out is the same exact engine Sad Satan was made with. So it's clear he had something to do with the game, right? Well, the comments were left after the video started getting all the attention, so it's entirely possible he was just playing along. But it's questionable nonetheless. Now, what caught my attention was this video. Most of it isn't too out of character. However, this was the first time he showed his face. Now, why is that relevant, you might ask? Fast forward to the end of the video, and we can see he's credited as Gary Graves. That's all we need to know. A quick Google search of the name comes up with this. A 32-year-old man sentenced to 9 years in prison after admitting to viewing CP, reported by his very own girlfriend. Now compare this guy to the one seen on the ScareBear video. Take a closer look. Yeah, it's not too difficult to see the resemblance between the two. Let's go back to the Reddit account. The only clue here seems to be this one. A clear address and a date going all the way back to December 14th, 2001. All leading to this website. The main subject here is Kelsey Cook, who died in a drunk driving accident. She lived in the same city, went to the same school, and was born in the same year as Gary Graves. And based on my research, that was the only article made on the case. So it'd be very difficult for the average user who knows nothing about the matter to be able to find it. So, the name matches, their faces are almost identical, and all the coincidences with him and Kelsey make it seem very likely that this man might very well be the guy behind ScareBear. But what about the game posted from Obscure Horror Corner? Were its roots actually on the deep web, or was it just a way for him to garner attention towards his content? Here's something I haven't shown you yet. This is the output log found on the 4chan version of the game, made by the anonymous ZK. It doesn't take much to notice the name Jamie, written all over it. Here's what most likely happened. After his interview with Kotaku, he needed some way to prove that what he stated was true, but he had to do it all anonymously. Somewhere, no one could pinpoint the account age, or anything that could blow his cover. So he finds 4chan. Then, he makes sure to sign it with ZK. But this version unlike the other one, also had to include and CP on it. That way, it perfectly correlates with his story. Would he go as far as accessing CP just to make his story believable? Well, I'm not sure. But what I am certain of is that it all points towards Obscure Horror Corner being the creator of the game. To be honest, this video has been really difficult for me to write down. So much time has passed since the game was made that anyone could manufacture any narrative they want. Everyone seems to believe in a certain story and discard any facts that oppose it. So it was really challenging to go through it all and maintain a somewhat unbiased view. The connections I found between Obscure Horror Corner and Scare Bear were few, and didn't prove a whole lot, so mentioning them would be a waste of time. I tried contacting anyone with knowledge about this game, and luckily, one of them responded. He turned out to be a moderator on the Sad Satan subreddit, and has been a part of this community for over 5 years now. Here's what he had to say. So the whole Gary Graves thing was kind of a mess. When this whole thing was going down in 2015, one of the users found the YouTube video for Sad Satan and wondered if it was connected. A day or two later, a user by the name of ScareBearZK popped into the sub and started saying scary things to the users. We mostly ignored them, as the account was only 1 to 2 days old. It was clearly a troll. A couple of us did some research, and we all collectively decided that Sad Satan and the uploader Scare Bear were unrelated to the game on OHC's channel. I guess, in all of this, I'm not saying Scare Bear isn't involved, or that Gary Graves isn't either. Just that we don't have any hard proof that they are. Based on that, it seems like people wanted to give a deeper meaning to all this, making links that seem far-fetched with hardly any proof or evidence to back it up. Whether or not Scare Bear has anything to do with the situation can't be said for sure, and everyone related to the game has gone silent. It's been over 5 years at this point, and no one has said a thing. Who knows? Maybe one day someone will break the silence and reveal the truth for what it's worth. But for now, that's all we have. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.